HOMEFRONT hack. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency is calling on all federal civilian agencies to review their computer networks for possible compromise. The directive comes as U.S. government officials try to figure out what to do about a security breach, a possible foreign intrusion into federal computer networks. Malware inserted into the SolarWinds Orion monitoring system has reportedly compromised computer networks at the Treasury and Commerce Departments, also Homeland Security, the Pentagon, NASA, and the White House. Joining us to share some thoughts on what all of this means is Mr. Frank Cilluffo, Director of the Center for Cyber and Homeland Security at Auburn University. Mr. Cilluffo is a former Homeland Security advisor to President George W. Bush and a member of the Homeland Security Advisory Council. Frank, the Pentagon has ordered a shutdown of all of its computer networks handling classified information. So just how extensive and massive is the damage, and what does it mean for U.S. national security?
Well, that's a great question. At this point, they're doing the damage assessment, so we don't know what we don't know. But what we do know is that SolarWinds is implemented across 400 of the Fortune 500 companies and almost all the significant government agencies you can think of. So the potential for a catastrophic incident, at least from an espionage perspective, is very high. And as such, DHS had issued an emergency alert a couple of days ago, asking all government agencies to literally unplug any networks and systems they have that are running SolarWinds. And the potential, if you were to put this on a scale of 1 to 10, this one's blinking pretty close to a 10. So this is no small deal. This is a big situation we're dealing with.
Wow. And some government officials say they suspect Russia is behind this hack, but a spokesman for Russian President Putin, of course, called it fake news. Others say highly sophisticated actors were involved in this, and that may indicate China was responsible. So who do you think was behind this attack?
You know, between Russia and China, they're both very sophisticated cyber actors, both of whom are referred to as advanced persistent threats. In this case, the old Mark Twain line, whereas history may not repeat itself, it tends to rhyme. We are seeing a lot of the tactics, techniques, and procedures we had seen Russia engaged in the past. So I think that still early to tell, because others can try to make it look like and pin the incident on someone else. But as far as what we've seen in the past, history's rhyming a little here, and we've seen this in the past from Russia. That by no means gives China a pass, because China is incredibly active in terms of nefarious cyber activity. And they've been behind probably the most sophisticated espionage incident in the United States. That was the attack of OPM. Basically, everyone who filled out their security clearance forms had their information compromised by China in the past. So either actor, it's a big deal, and we got to make sure that we stanch the bleeding now.
Is this a result of a gradual, highly sophisticated effort that began worldwide back in March or April? Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great point. So rarely does the incident occur immediately after a breach is intended. What you're seeing here is they were able to access different levels of credentials. In other words, they got in through the front door, and then they were through the back door. Then they were able to get into the front door of all of our homes and all of our buildings and all of our government agencies. So in all likelihood, this is what's referred to as a supply chain attack. In this case, it's a software that's deployed all throughout the U.S. government that was exploited. It was done so in a very sophisticated manner. Many of these companies have access because they're sending patches when known vulnerabilities are identified to fix our systems. Well, those same access points can be used for nefarious aims, and that appears to be the case here. So this by no means happened overnight. This is a many-month campaign. And I might note that every day is a cyber day that we need to be on guard and prepared for intrusions by China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. And the reality is this is the modern form of warfare. It's the modern form of espionage. And whereas technology changes, human nature remains consistent. And people have wished us harm in the past, and they're using cyber to exploit that today.
And investors in the Austin-based SolarWinds company reportedly sold off $280 million in stock just days before the breach was revealed. So how significant is that to all of this?
You know, that's a great question. As someone who has no direct insight into any of that is a little disconcerting. So I hope that there is, in fact, an investigation. And if they were trading based on insider information, shame on them. They should pay the consequences for any bad behavior if that, in fact, is the case here.
And I guess the FBI has seized computers and documents at SolarWinds headquarters in Austin. So what else should the Trump administration do at this point, especially if evidence is obtained that shows that Russia or China was involved?
You know, we need to demonstrate that this is unacceptable behavior. Now, I might note this is not up to the level of an act of war. At this point, it's largely a major espionage campaign. But for far too long, we've let the bad guys get away with little consequence. So we need to be able to incur cost, incur consequence, and try to induce changes in bad behavior. There has to be a response. As to the precise response, it's in part dependent upon A, who the perpetrator was, and B, if we get a better sense of just how significant of an incident it was, the damage assessment. But short answer is there needs to be a response. This is unacceptable behavior. Otherwise, we'll be blaming the victim, and the bad guys will be running with impunity and do it again and again and again. And it's not only to send a message to this perpetrator, it's everyone else watching. We need to demonstrate that we take these issues seriously, or you're just going to invite more and more copycats to continue doing what they're doing.
Okay, Frank Cilluffo, director of the Center for Cyber and Homeland Security at Auburn University. Thank you, Frank, for sharing your time and insights. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.